Hi, I'm Dawn,
And I'm Darcy
and we are the co-owners and co-founders of The Plot Twist.
in Denton, Texas. Thank you, everybody, for all your wonderful questions about how we opened our bookstore. It was a very fun, perilous journey. And we, since the very beginning, had a bunch of questions just flowing in from very beginning, how we started, to inventory and all the in-betweens. So we thought it would be best to just put it all together in a little how-to video. However, this is not Business Class 101, so please don't take this as business advice.
So once we knew the concept of what we wanted in our bookstore, I just went to a name generator on the internet to offer suggestions and thoughts, and The Plot Twist was one of like 100 different things we saw, and I felt like it resonated with really what our vision and our mission was. The twist, obviously, being that we have a bar.
The bar, yeah.
So the first step was getting our EIN from the IRS and getting our certificate of formation from our state, which we're in Texas. And then I also secured our domain name, which was all a gift for Darcy on her birthday in 2024. Absolutely. Lots and lots of research. And we came across the Small Business Administration, which there's a college campus here locally that has some mentorships and programs that we took advantage of that provided us with help on our business plan, but also with our budgeting. And we also tapped into the Texas Women's University has a women's entrepreneurship program, and they were very helpful and also helping us business plan, budget thinking, locations. It gave us a lot of things to consider when deciding where and when we wanted to open the store.
They got us set up on the actual like business plan site. So there's so many sites out there, and they just kind of connected us with one that was pretty user friendly and just kind of walked you through step by step on a business plan.
Yeah,
so that was very
asked you lots of questions, and you just filled in the blanks, and that made it a lot easier.
Yeah. So I mean, it would ask you like, why are you doing it? Like what your purpose is, and then obviously like marketing. So that's where a lot of our research came from, is like figuring out our marketing basis and who we were trying to reach, what was our target. And that's where a lot of our research came from, was filling out those parts in that business plan.
I would say check your local, like junior colleges or other college campuses, if you have something close to you, or even in your state, that they may have a resource for you. I also have a history of bookkeeping and accounting, so that was very helpful. So maybe you have a friend or somebody in your sphere that you can tap into to help with creating a budget. It can be done in Excel as well. So for me personally, my husband and I made the decision to take out a HELOC. Going to a bank wasn't logical for us. We had really nothing. We had no numbers to show that we could, pay it back. And it also, for us, we knew how much we needed because we'd done our business planning, and that was not disposable in a cash that we had laying around.
And I helped contribute with just my savings and retirement from teaching that I had saved up for the years that I was a teacher.
But, it depends on how much you need. Some people have opened a bookstore with very minimal because they're used books and not new. And we had a bigger budget because we added a bar. We had a blank space. So much of that depends on.
Consult your local bank accountant, lender, somebody with professional
and
experience.
The SBA did offer an SBA loan. So that was an option. It just was not the best option for us. So it's a very personal, whether you've got a bank contact or a credit union or SBA loan or HELOC, or you dive into a savings. So we initially started as a pop-up, and so that was very limited to a couple of thousand, got us started for our pop-ups. But when we decided brick and mortar time, we were advised somewhere between 75 to 100,000 was average of what startup businesses were going to need. Yeah. And we were able to do that for a little bit less because we did the majority of the work ourselves. Yeah, we did all the painting. We built our own bookshelves. We hired out for the things that had to be hired out for, code enforcement reasons, for the plumbing, electricity, So of the budget that we allowed for, somewhere under 60,000, we set like a fourth of that aside for inventory, which really wasn't a lot. And so the rest of it we needed for startup funds, just to maintain a few months. We were prepared for a few months of payroll, electricity, rent, insurance, and those things.
Which hopefully you'll outline it in your own business plan. If that's something that you're looking at doing, you'll outline what you need, for whatever part of your business that you're looking to fill. That's kind of what we did. We stuck to that budget. We had a cap, and we just kind of put our money where it needed to go.
So that's a hard question to answer without knowing what your vision is and what your goals are. Are you selling new books only? Are you selling used only, new and used? Are you going to have a bar? Are you going to have a cafe? How big is your space? What does your rent look like? So
where are you located?
A lot of those variables you have to answer yourself. I would definitely say that if you've only got $10K to work with, you need to figure out how to make it work. Can you get a place to rent for that, for one? And then also a lot of research in your area. The pop-ups helped us for that reason.
Yeah.
Well, Darcy had come to me wanting to do the romance bookstore, and I was very hesitant to limit ourselves to just romance. But we did a lot of research, and I joined the American Bookseller Association, and we could see that the romance genre was the number one selling genre in the U.S. And being very niche, I think, helped us because we weren't trying to be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And so that market research included doing pop-ups for us. Like we did 6 pop-ups in 5 weeks. And that told us that there were readers out there who were looking for things that they couldn't find at some of the other typical locations. But we did markets in 2 different cities, and we gauged the different types of shoppers, and we could tell immediately that our location, where our heart was, where we wanted to be, was the right place for what we were going to offer.
Yeah. Well, and I would say, one, we love romance. Like that's specifically all I read. So I just have a personal connection with romance, and I know that I can talk about romance all day. I'm more comfortable with it. So that was a big desire for me, and same for Mom.
Right. What is your personal passion?
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to sell,
nonfiction.
Yes, there we go. Nonfiction, yes.
But I mean, I think a big thing for us was like getting with ABA. So if you are, again, looking to open up a bookstore, going ahead and looking at ABA, the American Bookseller Association, getting up on their website. They have so much information on there that we can download. They have like getting started checklist. That's what we did. We downloaded their checklist, and they have so many resources, to help with like marketing, demographics, looking at what, top sellers were. So we saw, hey, romance is a top selling genre, and that's something we love. Let's just stick to that niche. And so that's really what for us was solidified it, was seeing, the hard data through ABA's website. We also made the decision last summer when we were still, trying to figure out if it was something feasible for us. We wanted to kind of get a greater idea of what a bookstore and a bar looked like. What was its functionality? So we went and did a little girls trip around Texas and visited other indie bookstores, and then also popped into some other book bars, because there are some other wonderful book bars in Texas. So we got to kind of see them. Some of them we were able to meet and talk to, but most of it was just kind of looking around and seeing the space and seeing how it flowed and understanding what that looked like with the bar and the bookstore environment overall. And when you go into it knowing that you want your own, you can see the creative space differently. Like, what do the bookshelves look like? And there were a couple of stores that I said, oh, I absolutely love the way they've either built their bookcases or how they put the books on the shelves. So those things were really helpful. And then also just the decor, like what was the vibe we were looking. So we were really looking at not just how well are they doing, but how are they flowing? Like, where's the bar in the store?
how many people are at the bar, and then how are their books set up.
Even down to the nitty gritty of how many books should we buy, looking at other bookstores' bookshelves and being like, oh,
We
you can
counted.
have, we legit
I
counted.
measured the bookshelves, and the height and the width.
Sorry to
counted
all the
how
bookstore
many
owners
books.
out there who saw us measuring.
And I will tell you that I have a picture of it still. And we went home and we counted
Yeah.
when we were designing our space
We
here.
said, oh, we can fit that many books.
That's how many books we can get.
Which it's grown, but yeah.
So Darcy came to me early in 2024.
It was like January 2024, and I was
Yeah.
teaching, and I'd been teaching for 5 years. So we talked about the possibility of a bookstore. I think it was in March when we solidified the name. I was in my school classroom making our logo on Canva.
So we had a name. We had a vision of our logo. You were creating it.
Mm-hmm.
I did some vacationing and toured indie bookstores
Mm-hmm.
up the Northeast, and then come back and said, oh, I think we can do this. This might be fun. So for her birthday in July, I bought the EIN, got all of that kind of legal stuff set up.
So from thought to actual, our first pop-up, it was
6 months.
6 months.
And then when we saw the SBA guy, he said, y'all need to plan for, like, it takes 6 months really for a business from conception to going. And that was the brick and mortar time frame. And so I think we met with him in July or August.
Mm-hmm.
We had met with him around that time. So I think finally we found the location in November. First pop-up end of September. November the 1st, we were in the building.
And then we opened the brick and mortar January
18th.
So I would say, about a year. It really took a whole year for us.
When the thought bubble first came up.
Yes. Yeah.
For all the processes. But I was working full time. She was working full time up until school was over. Her whole summer was sitting in the sunroom with me, creating a business plan, working on a website, and just thinking research.
Oh.
So that's different for everyone. I mean, we were told to wait at least a year or two before you're going to see a profit and maybe even get paid. And I will tell you that Darcy and I are already on payroll. And we have 8 staff members on payroll. And so I think your demographics, where you are, and the option that you're giving your community. What are you giving your community that they're going to want to be a part of?
Well, it became more than just like selling books and selling, the bar aspect, as it was we're wanting to bring and sell an experience for people.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just another bookstore, but it's you come in and you're surrounded by other romance loving individuals, which for me was a big thing because I wanted to talk about romance books. And so that's what our goal was. It was
Mm-hmm.
never about, the profit. It was more so like the experience for ourselves and the experience for our community, and making sure that it was a place where everyone felt welcome and free to just kind of be themselves and express themselves and their love for reading.
And I think if your community is supporting that initiative that you have, that will dictate when you can expect to see a profit. If you're in it for the right reason and you can resonate that to the people who are around you, then I think they love supporting.
Mom and I went into it thinking we were going to be able to sit in our cute little bookstore and read all of our cute little romance books and talk about all of our romance books. And it quickly turned into not that. So it takes and it took a whole lot of hours, a lot of work, a lot of things we never expected mentally and physically. And we hardly ever get a time to read. So it's really just like how much effort and work are you willing to put in is also going to change your outlook on your profit, and how much you're getting back out of your business as well.
So plumbing was a challenge for us, just finding a plumber.
I think really it was the layout of like, how the heck are we going to get this bar to fit in that small corner? It looked a lot smaller to begin with, but how are we going to fit? I think we changed layout 10 times.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, we were trying to figure out where to put that bar, where to put the cash wrap.
How's the cash wrap and the bar going to flow together? Like that was months, I think, of us rearranging all of our plywood that we had over there and rearranging what we want to look at. I think it was when we went to Graffiti Pasta, and Mom, being the little I want to see it all, kind of just snuck behind their bar.
I didn't sneak. I asked the bartender. I told her who we were. And I said, we're trying to visualize this bar, right? I've never built a bar. I've never worked in a bar. I don't drink alcohol. So there's a lot of challenges here for me. And so she let me come in their back behind their bar and see kind of what the sinks look like and what a ice well was, all these things that I was learning.
Their flow.
Yeah. So and then the other challenge would be that we're not opening a bookstore. We have 2 businesses here that we're trying to learn, bookstore and a bar, and we're putting those together. And there is no business model out there for that. So for us, that was a challenge. I got a quote on painting the bookshelves after we had built them, and I was just flabbergasted. It's like, that's 10% of our whole budget on painting. And I said, we can't do it. And I come from a family of painters, so I just felt like we could do it ourselves. But these things are 9 feet tall, and standing on a ladder. I cried a couple of times and said, I take it back.
Cue to Mom with the paintbrush in the corner.
Yeah. I don't want to do this no more. So the other challenge that we weren't expecting was the fact that our budget for inventory to get us started.
Oh yeah,
we felt like was enough.
Well, we had a very minimal amount of budget left for starting inventory and starting merch. So we made do and got what we knew we needed and what we wanted on the shelves for opening weekend. However, once we hit our max and grand opening happened and we were wiped out, after day 1 of grand opening, it was then for the first month keeping inventory in stock, which was the best problem to have in the world. We also got to learn a lot about like what books people liked, and that was having to figure that out and stock more of those. And okay, this one didn't do good. Yeah, just keeping inventory very, very flexible for the first month, 2 months, until we really figured out what our community was looking for. So that was something that we still are. I think that's just going to be never ending. Not an issue, but a never-ending, quirk about the business is inventory changes and learning all the ins and outs of that.
Thank y'all so much for watching this first videos. This is just the startup part of the business of where we started and kind of where we got to at the brick and mortar spot. There's so many other things to come after this. We'll talk to you about the inventory, how we started getting it, and our merch. How we make connections with authors, and how we plan our events. We're also going to talk to you a lot about the bar and what that process looked like to get our TABC licensing, and how we determine what the drinks are at the bar. But don't forget, we are only talking about our experience here. And if you ask a bookstore across the street or another one in a different state, they all have a different story to tell. So this is just something for a little bit of advice and experience on our side. Definitely not something that would be your experience for sure.
Thank you all for your endless support.
Yes.
And check back in with us for the next video.